Bo, you just had your birthday, is that right? You're 30,
Yep,
35? 35, is that right?
33.
33, I'm sorry.
33. Yeah, no, you good, man. You good.
I was only 2 years off.
Not yet. Yeah, not yet. Not yet. I'm gonna try to make 33 the best one yet.
The best one
Hopefully,
yet.
I'm in a way better situation at 35.
So you're 33,
Mm,
um, and you you've got your son there, and
mhm.
it's Elgin, and
Yeah,
your name is actually also Elgin as well, isn't it? Is that correct?
yeah, and my
Yeah.
dad. So yeah,
Yeah.
my dad's Elgin Senior. I'm Elgin Junior. This is Elgin the third. That's why if you ever see me type it, I type it with a three Lgin,
Yep.
just because I mean he's the third. So and that's why
Gotcha.
I got the three. So yeah,
There we go. That
yeah,
makes a whole lot of sense. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Gotcha. I
yeah,
was like, okay, it was confusing me way back. I was like, hang on a second. Like,
yeah.
how many Elgins are here? Like,
Uh-huh. But everybody calls me Bo. That my
but
dad was
yeah.
Elgin, and when I was younger, my parents called me Bobo, and everybody in my family called
Ah,
me. And as I got older, it's just been Bo. So my whole life, I've been Bo. My dad was Elgin, and then now that Elgin's here, he's Elgin, and now I'm still Bo.
oh my god.
Yeah.
Is that not confusing when you're all in the same room and someone says like Elgin? You're like everyone just like
Well, no. See, the thing is, nobody calls me Elgin. So if
ah,
somebody
right,
says
right.
Elgin, I'll automatically know they either talking to him or they talking to my
Gotcha.
daddy.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, they only call me Bo. Like very, 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 very few people call me Elgin.
Ah, okay. Okay. Here we go.
Hmm.
Um. So okay, about 33 years old.
Hmm.
Um. And you guys are. Tell us where you are in the states. You're in the states. Whereabouts are you again?
So we're in Kansas City, Missouri. So
Kansas City.
Kansas City is like the big city. I live literally 2 or 3 miles technically outside of Kansas City.
Okay.
It's just south, out, but it's in that area.
Gotcha.
I live in a place called Raymore, Missouri, just right outside of Kansas City. But like I said, you go 5 minutes up the road, you're in Kansas City.
Gotcha.
So,
Now,
yep.
for those who maybe like me,
Mhm.
who know America is a pretty big place, um, if I've got a picture of the states in front of me, and whereabouts is that geographically? Is it to the left, to the east coast, to the right
If
coast?
you if you take a map of America and you try to find the middle of it and you draw a circle in the middle, that's where I am.
Gotcha.
Literally right smack dab in the middle
Okay, there
of
we go.
America.
Perfect. That
Yeah.
helps a lot because I think like
Yeah. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
because it's such a big country, right? And
Yeah.
some people will be like, "Oh yeah, Missouri, yeah, I know where that is." I'm like, well, fucking hell, like, good on you. Like, I mean, because
Yeah.
a lot of us don't. Like, and I wasn't great with geography, so that
Right.
helps a
I'm
lot.
terrible with it. I'm terrible with geography. So I get it.
I've only lived in small countries, so it's pretty easy. Like, whereabouts are you? Oh, I'm here. Oh yeah, okay, cool. Like,
Hmm.
it's like New
Yeah.
Zealand's
Yeah. Now
small, the
America's,
UK small,
yeah.
Japan's small. You know, so I've never lived in a big country yet. Yet.
There you go. Do you have plans on moving? Maybe.
No, no, no plans. No, no. We're just
No.
like, yeah, but you never. Who knows, right?
Don't know what life will
Like,
bring. Right.
yeah, like God knows, like, yeah, you just don't know. So, but at the moment,
Hmm.
this is where we are, and this is what we're doing, and you know, unless World War Five breaks out,
Right.
we'll still be
Hmm.
here. So okay, now you've got your son behind you there, and that is Elgin. So can you just tell me a little bit about um Elgin and what? Yeah, tell us a bit about Elgin for us if you can.
Okay. Elgin was born at 34 weeks old, so slightly before term. He was born due to traumatic placenta abruption. So basically, we had a doctor's appointment at 34 weeks on a Friday. They did an ultrasound. They looked at him. He was moving. He was healthy. Everything was perfect. And 2 days later, on a Sunday morning, not even a full 48 hours later, it was early in the morning. His mom was just experiencing some very, very, very significant like cramps and pain. So I rushed her to the hospital. We got there. Um, they was kind of doing their thing and she had to use the bathroom. So I walked her to the bathroom and 30 seconds later, she's like, blood's coming. So we hurry up and rushed her back to the room. They got her on the table and they couldn't find the pulse. So within 2 minutes, 120 seconds, they got her back and cut her open and got him out.
Wow.
I maybe was in the waiting room for about an hour. I didn't know what was going on, but I was fearing the worst because
Mm.
the year prior, we had a daughter, 24 weeks, and my daughter, the same thing, placenta abruption, but she passed away. So at that time, I knew that, Elgin was further along, but I didn't know what to expect. And about an hour later, they came out and they let us know that, he he was born, and when he was born, he didn't have a pulse. They had to revive him. At that time, he started experiencing seizures, so they had to give him medication, and he was basically on the ventilator. And after looking, doing the MRI, they said that he had very significant brain damage. So, um, pretty much to just kind of skip forward, we did 63 days in the NICU. That's like the neonatal ICU. And they initially said Elgin wouldn't make it out the hospital. They said he wouldn't make it 5 minutes off the ventilator. So they brought us into a room and said, hey, the machine is breathing for him. He has absolutely no brain activity. He's not doing anything. We'll give him 3 days to allow the swelling in his brain to go down, but it doesn't look like he's gonna wake up. 2 days later, they said, look, we know he's not going to wake up. It's really no point at keeping him on this. He's gone. And the fact that I had just lost my daughter the year before, I just wasn't ready. They said they was going to give me 3 days. So I had no reason to not believe him, but I just told him like I'm not ready. You said 3 days, so I want my 3 days. And on the third day, El just started to move. A little bit of brain activity showed up. And then over the course of that 63 days in the NICU, they told us, well, when we take this breathing tube out, he's not going to breathe on his own, but we'll try. They pulled it out. He breathed for 7 hours on his own. No oxygen, no anything. He just breathed. But
Wow.
he was struggling.
Mm.
So they put him back on the ventilator. And when they did it the second time, they just kind of weaned him off slowly and gave him support. And then 13 days later, he opened his eyes. And like I said, on day 63, they basically sent us home. And they didn't have high expectations for him. They essentially sent him home to die. But they was just like, do you want to Daddy, you good? No, I'm good. Sorry, that was my dad.
That's right. I was like, "Who's that?" I was like, "What? What's going on behind you there?" I was like, that couldn't
No,
be.
so I don't have a door, so all I
It's
got
like
is
a
a
curtain.
curtain.
Is it a curtain? Is it?
Yeah,
Oh, right,
yeah.
okay.
It's just in case they open the door. In case they open the front door, the cold air doesn't just rush in here. It's like a little curtain.
Gotcha.
So
I was
yeah,
freaking out. I was actually freaking out a little bit as you were talking. Sorry.
yeah, no, 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 I'm sorry. But yeah, my they sent this home and they pretty much was just like, you know, sent him home to die. But once he came home, his mom went back to work and it was just on me. She went back to
Mm.
work. We didn't have any nursing, anything, and he ended up in the hospital a lot. I think we came home 2 days later. He ended up back in, and he came home again, and it was a week, and he get so it was a bunch of going back and forth because you just
Mm.
gave me this little baby. I don't have any knowledge of other kids. I've
Mm.
never had another kid, to care for, and
Mm.
now I got one with all these medical needs. But it was a lot of trial and error for me early on with Elgin, but just every time he ended up back in the hospital and it didn't look good, he just bounced back and I just stayed by him. I tried to learn everything I could. I tried to be as hands-on as possible. I tried to just, you know, give him the best shot possible. If something happened to him, I didn't want it to be on me. You know what I mean? If he
Mm.
went on his own time, then fine. But I didn't want his life to be cut short because I didn't do something.
Mm.
And I learned early on, like, okay, this is gonna take a lot. Like this kid cannot blink, he can't swallow, he can't cough, he can't gag, he can't vocalize. Like he needs me to literally, do what I'm doing and clear out his airway so he doesn't drown on his own saliva. And I mean, the how scary that was kind of gave me just a second win because all my awareness went up all at once. The
Mm.
idea of sleep, I just quickly was like, okay, I'm sleeping light. I got to keep this monitor next to my head because if it goes off, I got to hurry up and get up. And over time, really since that day that I left the hospital, I never dropped that mindset. I've been on guard, on alert for 7 years.
Mm.
I can't think in 7 years where I've slept peacefully, not one time. Even if Elgin is not with me, if he's with his mom, the phone is next to my head because if she calls and I need to get there, it's just a constant worry. But I kind of just use it to my benefit, and I try not to look at it like stress, but kind of like a superpower. I'm always on guard. I'm always ready. So it's like instead of looking at it like, man, I can't relax, can't do this, is like, no, you know, I'm always ready. I'm always on it. I'm
Right.
always available. So
Mm.
and then what we were speaking about earlier when you said your friend said it was a privilege,
Mm.
to be his kid's father. That's always been my mindset. And it wasn't just like, oh, I've always been grateful, but I lost my daughter,
Mm.
and that was probably that I can't even say probably. That was the most life altering thing that had ever happened to me was losing my daughter. And when they said my son would have the brain injury, when they said that he would have special needs, like all of that went in one ear and out the other because I'm
Mm.
like, okay, is he going to be here?
Mm.
'Cause if I have the opportunity to be a father, then I'm going to take it. That doesn't matter. I know the alternative. The extra things are just extra things. But what's the opposite of that? The opposite is he's gone. I don't get to be on alert. I don't get to be able to hold his hand. I don't get to be able to suction him. Waking up in the middle of the night, I have to do that. That's just part of my life. But I don't look at it like, oh, I don't get to sleep. Well, if I'm not waking up, then that means I'm sleeping peaceful. And if I'm sleeping peaceful, that means I don't have anything to worry about. And that means he's gone.
Mm.
So for me, I was terrified to ever complain because I can't take, this situation I'm in for granted. You know, I, I would much rather do this for 100 years than not have the opportunity to do it,
Mm.
or to have it any other way and him not be here. This
Yeah.
is just this is I radically accepted that this is my life and I'm okay with it. That's
Mm.
why a lot of people they may say, "Oh, you just like you have such a positive energy in this." It's not that I'm necessarily positive. I mean, I'm lonely a lot. I cry a lot. I'm tired a lot. I'm hurt a lot. I don't like this situation that I'm in, but I accept it just because it is what it is,
Mm.
and can't change it. And it's gonna be like this until he's gone.
Mm.
So my framework and my mindset has just always been I'm just grateful that my son's here. People, oh man, that must be hard. Yeah, but I'm grateful that my son is here because if I complain today and he's gone tomorrow, I would wish I had him
Mm.
to sit next to every day. I would wish that I had the bed to share with him. And I just don't want to have those regrets. I want to know that as long as my son was here, I was right here every day. I took
Mm.
advantage of the time. I don't want to say, man, I wish I would have spent more time with him. I wish I would have just, done the hard things, even though they hard.
Yeah.
Do them so that way, God forbid anything happens to Elgin, I know I did everything. I couldn't go back and do it better because I did it the best that I
Yeah.
could. And yes, 7 years, 7 years. He has not progressed much since he's been an infant. Elgin has been the same kid. He's still can't swallow, he still can't cough, he still can't gag. I mean, it's kind of uncanny how I can look at a video of him when he was 3 months old and look at a video of him now, and he's the same exact kid, just in a bigger body. The way he holds his hand
Mm,
like this, the way he looks and watches his tablet, the way like everything about him, his brain at that time of that injury just has never really, progressed.
mm,
But he's here, and the thing that has stuck with him is just that fight he fought as an infant to
mm.
get out of that hospital. And anytime he has to go back now, anytime he gets sick, he fights to get back home. So yeah, this is my son. This is Elgin. Uh, lot of disabilities. I could rattle off the list of everything, but he's just a total care kid. He needs 24-hour care. He can't do anything for himself, but he's here.
I think, man, like for someone who, like, who's listening, and even me sitting here listening, um, the sometimes like I was describing this to one of my teacher the other day, how it's very easy for us to sit in the arena, like around in the stadium, and kind of look down at these people playing a game, right? And tell them, scream at them what they should be doing. You know, it looks easy, or sometimes it doesn't look easy. But the point that I was trying to say to them was that um, when you are when you are in the ring, I use a kind of a boxing analogy. When you are
Mhm,
in the ring, um, and it is it is just like you're in the ring. Yeah, that's what you're doing. You're just doing it because
mhm,
if there's an opponent there, you got to fight. You got to do it. You got to
mhm,
do everything you want to do to win that fight or get through the next round or the next level, whatever you do, right? Um, and I think it's like um, it's something that I have to kind of remember because as uh, we're like, you're in a very kind of unique ring. You're in that
mhm,
ring, and you're just doing it. You're just you know playing the game, doing life because that's how it is for you. And someone looking from
mhm,
the outside is like looking on like, wow, like almost it becomes uncomprehendable. And I think sometimes for me anyway, it's like I'm like I can't even comprehend how it all is because it's just so much, right? It's just so much to kind of take in, and because we're looking from the outside,
right,
when you're in the ring and when you're doing it, you're just like, oh, this is just what I'm doing. Like this is what I didn't know to do this when in round one, but now I'm in round five or round 5,000. But this is what I'm doing now. Like this is just it. I didn't have a choice. Someone just threw me in this ring, and I'm just going for it. I'm just swinging. You know,
mhm.
like, and I think that people say, "How do you do it?" I always get this. How do you do it? How do you do it? Like, how do you what do you say? What do you like? What goes through your head? Like when people say that to you, what goes through?
The
What do you want to say to them? Wasn't really.
The, that is probably what I get, especially since I started being a little bit more out, online and on streaming and stuff. People just say, man, a lot of people wouldn't do it like what you do, a lot of people wouldn't do. And I don't know how you do that. And it's just like, well, for one, I think a lot of people underestimate themselves of what you would do if put in a certain situation. But two, I mean, I really don't think I'm doing anything heroic. I feel like any father who truly loves their son, any mother who truly loves their daughter, any parent who loves their kids to that degree will do it.
Mm,
It's like, I remember before Elgin was born, before the brain injury or anything, I was talking to a guy, a friend of mine, and he had kids, and I was just like, man, I don't know. How do you do it? Like,
mm,
how do you be a father? And he said, man, when you have a kid, you just get a second wind. It's like you just get a spark out of nowhere. And I know you can't comprehend it now, but when you have a kid, you'll just get that second
mm,
wind of doing the things that you don't want to do or doing the things you have to do. Now, I didn't know that it would end up being to this degree,
mm, mm.
but it's almost just like a switch, It's just when people ask me how I do it, I just let them know like you just you do what you have to do. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
just like the analogy you said, when you're in that ring, you just got to swing, man. You gotta swing,
yeah.
and
And
yeah,
you're swinging for two people or more or whatever.
exactly,
Like
exactly.
because that's just that's what you're doing, and it's and I think that it kind of it might I guess it kind of it helps it might help people kind of understand that because like you know some for some people are going to get the concept of it like here I am, I'm just in the ring, someone's just thrown you in that ring, what are you going to do?
Hmm.
Fucking like you can't get out of the ring. Well, you can jump over the ropes,
Yeah,
but you
yeah.
can like and then that's cool, like okay, you can just go, um or you can actually like have a crack like and see and make a get to the next round and then get to another
Hmm.
one and like and sometimes you're not going to have all the wins. No, you're not. You're just, but it's being in there and just doing it. Um,
Hmm.
what is the like the word dad? I think and or father um, is an interesting one, and it can carry different meanings for different people. For you, like, what is that word? What does it mean to you now? Like,
When I was little, like my dad, I live with my dad now. My dad's always been in my life. And when I was little, my dad was like, he was like a superhero to me. You know what I mean? It was like my dad was always to me, I was a kid, so my dad was like a giant, like he's
mm,
stronger than everybody, he's smarter than everybody. Um, if I was ever scared, I know if I ran to my dad, I would be safe. He was literally like my hero. I looked at him like, he was a superhero. And when I found out for the first time I would be a dad, it kind of hit me because I'm like, man, somebody's gonna look at me like that. Like I have to be a hero. Even to this day, I'm close with my dad, but I don't know a lot of the things he's been through. I don't know a lot of this, silent sacrifices that he's made. I just know that my dad has been there and a constant for me.
mm,
And I felt like it was such big shoes to fill because of how present he was. My dad noticed my interest very early on in life. He kind of was watching me when he would come home from work. I'd be fiddling on the computer. I'd be making music and stuff, and I'm just doing my thing. But my dad was listening, and when what you listen, what you making? And I was showing him. He just okay, and I didn't think anything of it. But my dad, he was looking. Well, how can I help my son progress? So one day he came home with some musical equipment. I know you like this, so I think this will help you. And it 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 didn't really dawn on me until how often and how long he did that. And I realized like, man, all of these things that I didn't ask for, I didn't ask him to do that. That could have just been, a hobby that I was doing, but my dad kind of pushed me and he sought out ways to help me.
mm,
And even going from that kid to the teenager to now, I'm 33 years old when I had nowhere else to go. And but I was trying to be a dad to my son. My dad let me come back here. He still to this day is supporting me how he has since I've been a child. And I remember when I was a teenager, my daddy, one time, I forgot what he did. He did something, and he was just like, one thing I know is you better be twice the dad. And when you have a child, you better be twice the dad that I was. And I remember it hit me like I never told my daddy like, "Oh, you my hero," and I don't think I've
Mm.
ever said that to him. That's just
Wow.
always been my perception. But when he said that, I was in the back of my mind like, how could I possibly do that? How could I fill those shoes? How could I be that to somebody else? And when I found out I was going to have a child, with my daughter and my son, I just always wonder, like, how am I going to be that? I never thought it would be in a situation like this. I thought, I would be raising a child. I would be able to teach them. I would be able to find out interest and kind of, do the things that my dad did for me. But the circumstances that I have is completely different. But
Mm.
nonetheless, I still have to be my son's hero, whether
Mm.
that means his oxygen is dropping and I have to stick the tube in down his throat to make sure he doesn't drown on it at 3 a.m. If that's the way that my son needs me, I have to be there in that way. So, like the word dad to me is just always meant like being that superhero, being that thing that is larger than just another person.
Mm.
Because to this day, my daddy is still that person to me. It's nobody on this earth. I love my mama. Me and my mama have a, you know, special relationship. It's different though. It's just different. And
Can I
yeah,
can I ask can I ask you a question? And
yeah.
if like, what would your dad say if you turned around to him now and you said to him like, "Dad, I haven't told you this, but you are my hero." Like, what do you what do you think he would say? Because I don't think that a lot of dads would get that back from their children, whether they're 8 years old or 33 years old. So I'm just curious as to what you think he might say.
He my daddy's not really a emotional person. So I know it'll probably be just kind of like, oh man, I got your back and I love you, my son, and something like that. But
Yeah,
he's just a different kind of dad, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
I know he knows. And the reason why I never
mm,
just kind of just laid it out there like that, which maybe I have. Maybe I have. I know he knows, but he's just a different kind of dad. He's just a
yeah,
different kind of dad. He's not a very, you know, I feel like I can get my words out and emotions out in
mm,
words a lot easier. And I think
mm,
he's even said that, like, man, you can just articulate yourself. I don't know how to say
mm,
the
mm, mm,
things
mm,
like
yeah.
you do, and I don't want to, I would give him the courtesy of just not try to get him to.
Yeah, and I understand. I think actually my own dad is a bit like that, and
Mhm,
um I've I've experienced uh my experience of my dad is that um he he's not a very for many years like he was not a very um he kept a lot of things to himself. He wouldn't share so much
mhm,
about how he was feeling, and I think that just comes from how he was brought up and his dad and and so on. Um, and I and that's just how it's been. And I think that um, I hear not always, but a lot of that kind of comes through, and a lot of the dads I've spoken to is that tends to be a trend.
mhm.
Um, and I think maybe as kind of years go by and generations go through, is that men are learning to be a bit more open about their emotions and how they feel about being a dad, or just generally how they feel,
Mhm.
um, and without you know um, yeah, just and being able to kind of get it out, um, which is kind of how I really try and be with my kids. Um,
Mhm.
and I think I've only learned that really in the last, I'd say, 5 to 6 years or so,
Mhm.
um, because I wasn't an emotionally kind of open or vulnerable individual. I just wasn't, um, and I think it was just I didn't know how to. It wasn't. Yeah, I just didn't know how to. It was something that I never saw my dad um, show any kind of emotion. So I think I kind of, in some ways, like I saw that and just didn't do it, and just didn't know how to kind of share it. And actually, ultimately, I think that's probably why I just hit the wall, and I like from the grief and the trauma of having Jamie when he was born, um, and other contributing factors as well. Is that I just it just hit me. Um, at one point, it was a build up. It wasn't just instantaneous. It was a build up, which I
Yeah.
wasn't aware of the build up. Looking back, I can see the build up, right? Um, and 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 then it came a point where I was like, boom, there it is. And I've said it before on the podcast. I remember walking home after I hit the wall one day. Um, I was walking home from work, um, and I was talking to my sister on the phone, and I don't know, I was just talking to her about something. I was just catching up with her, and I just ended up just started to get crying on the phone, and but I didn't know why. I just didn't know why, and I just held everything in. I just held everything in, um, because I didn't even know it was there. I didn't know I had
Mhm.
all this emotional load, um, that I was carrying, and I and and so I, from that point, really from 2019, early 2019, is I've learned to, and I'm still learning to let stuff out, um, and I'm trying to replicate that to my sons, um,
Mhm.
you know, and those who walk through my world, whether it be people like yourself, or students that I teach, or adults that I teach, whoever it is, um, because I think that as as a as a male, as a man, who are like walking through the world, like um, being able to kind of get that out, um, in a healthy way,
Mhm.
um, is literally fucking life saving. Like
Yeah.
for oneself and for those around. Um, how how has it changed you becoming a dad? Like how is it? Like if you can think back to before you became a dad, right? How if you could describe that, how has it changed you to like becoming a dad?
Um, I I say this a lot, and it's just like the true fact of it. I have a monitor over here, that Elgin's been hooked up to for 7 years. He's never spent like longer than 5 minutes off of this thing in 7 years. And it's two numbers. One shows his oxygen, how much oxygen his blood has, and one shows his heart rate. And since the day he was born, I've been seeing those two numbers. And I've seen those numbers dip dangerously low, and I've seen them like within the snap of a finger. And it's literally a visual representation of life. because that oxygen and heart rate,
Mm,
if those numbers go down, if they hit zero, it's over.
mm,
And I have like I'm looking at life or death every single day with my son. Anytime my head is away from this thing, if it goes off, I snap into its life or death mode. Something is wrong. Oxygen's too low, heart rate's too high, something's wrong. So I stopped having the luxury of ever taking anything for granted, ever, because I understand that's life or death. Like it can happen like that because I see it
mm,
all the time. I have to save my son's life. So where before Elgin was here, I would let little things eat at me. I would let small little things that go on in my life just bother me to no end, and I would harp and hold on to stuff, and like everything became so small. Like anything that wasn't life or death just it just feels smaller to me now. I don't have the luxury to get upset at little things. I don't have the luxury if somebody cut me off in traffic to get pissed and cuss them off and cuss them out and this and that. Like that's nothing.
mm,
That's nothing. That oxygen that's while I'm driving, if that monitor goes off, that's 100 times more important.
mm.
So the little things that used to kind of, small thing, is somebody cutting you off in traffic. You could be thinking about that the next day. You could be on the phone with your friend. And, you know what happened yesterday, man? I was dry. You held on to that small thing for 24 hours and it had that much weight in your life, but it's so small in the grand scheme of those numbers. So
I
I just, yeah, life or like, yeah, nothing is like big to me anymore. You know, I just can't hold on to small things, things that just,
mm,
truly mean nothing.
yeah.
Can't hold on to them.
I it's funny you say this because I think I remember when Jamie was in ICU. He was in there for a month. It felt like an eternity, right?
Yeah, I
When
can
he was first
imagine.
born. But um, I remember the he was in there like first off, and then he got out, and then he had an operation and went back in, and he was actually in there for a little bit longer because his recovery. But anyway, but the numbers that you're talking about, the oxygen in his blood and his
Mhm.
heart rate, and I remember like there's that beep 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 like when you're actually in the
Mhm.
NICU, is this as you know, there's this
Yeah.
continuous beeping sound in the
Boop.
NICU, and it
Yeah.
almost fucking haunts you. It haunts you for a long time. Um, and but I remember like that was every time I would go in, we would spend a lot of time there, but we couldn't just be there all day every day. They wouldn't allow us. So when he was that young, so we would go visiting hours and we come back, right? Um, but I remember like when you first go in this, you would sit there with him, and I would be looking at these numbers, and you'd just be watching these numbers. Um,
Mhm.
and then they would drop and beep 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 beep, like and then it would go back up again, and I because that was you know, and if they would stay low for a little bit longer, beep, you'd be like, you my, I'd start to worry, start to get a little bit worried,
Yeah.
and then it would come back up again, and you're like, okay, okay,
Yeah.
but and then they would come over and say, oh yeah, like his saturation is this, rah rah rah, rah, like
Mhm.
it was low, but it's come back up again, like we're gonna give him some more oxygen, rah rah. So like um, it's taken me back. You've actually taken me back to a time um, when that was part of my life, but that still is part of your life. Every single
Mhm.
day, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day,
Mhm.
it's there. So you're living on a, a fight and flight uh, situation, aren't you?
Yep.
Um, and I suppose, I mean, some people will understand that. Some people will not understand that. for various reasons. That's okay. Um, I wonder whether like how with that fight and flight because it is physically and mentally it takes a toll on us.
Mhm.
It can take a toll on us. Um, how do you when like can you and do you and are you able to have do things that are for you like um, to allow you to kind of try and bring yourself down, even if it's just for like, you know, 30 seconds, a minute, or, or more, if it is. But is there things that you're like, this helps me, this helps me kind of from, you know, because I'm operating in that fight and flight situation. Because yeah, is there anything that like that you do?
I've over the 7 years, it's like five things I, that kind of just keep me going.
Mm,
That truly keep me going. Um, and it's crazy. I identified these five things maybe about 2 or 3 years ago because I kind of got a similar question, and I'm like, well, these are the things that truly, and one of them is kind of current within the last 2 years, but for one, when Elgin was first born, stand-up comedy. I was at
mm,
home a lot. I would just get on YouTube and I was by myself, but I would find funny clips or of stand-up comedians,
interesting.
and when I would get a true laugh, it's just like that laugh, man, would really I needed that. So
Mm,
I went on a deep dive of comedians, and when I would watch one comedian's all their material, I would try to find somebody new. So over the years, I just amassed this fandom of literally hundreds of comedians. So stand-up comedy, just being able to watch a clip, whether it's a bit, whether it's a 30-second funny bit or a whole special that's an hour long, me being able to get that laugh has truly helped me. And it's something I could do sitting
mm,
right next to Elgin,
yeah.
where I'm here physically, but my brain is in the joke. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And waiting for the laugh. The second thing is American football. I live in Kansas City. Our team is the Kansas City Chiefs. So I root for my favorite football team. On Sundays, on Thursday nights, on Monday nights, when my team plays, that's something that I can do, enjoy, and that's also a shared interest because I live in Kansas City. Everybody here is fans, and it's something I can do with Elgin. And it's, kind of a thing where on game days when I have my own place, I would make spaghetti and me and Elgin would be there and I could watch the game with him and maybe watch his streamer call the game. And, that was something that I could do with him and still kind of separate my brain into two. Be physically here, but be engulfed in the game. The third thing is movies. Movies for me, like, and going to the movies in
Mm,
particular. When Elgin would have a home nurse and when Elgin would be with his mom, I would always try to catch an early movie. I'm a fan of scary movies. And and I would go early in the morning because if I go late at night, I'm gonna fall asleep.
right.
If I sit down at the evening, I'm gonna sleep because I don't get much. But first thing in the morning, I'll stay awake. And when you go to the theater, all the lights are off. It's this big screen, like you're literally engulfed in that movie. Like the outside world doesn't exist. You're literally
Mm,
like in that world. So that's an hour and a half where I can just disappear from the world, watch this movie, and when I come out, I feel refreshed. You know what I mean? It's like my brain got to stop. I wasn't thinking about the monitor. I wasn't thinking about Elgin. I was in this entire world. And then even if I'm at home with Elgin, I could still watch a movie here. But going to the movies in particular was always a big thing. That's the third thing. The fourth is boxing. I'm a big fan of the sport boxing, so professional boxing matches. Same thing with sports. That's just something I always wanted to do. I love the sweet science of boxing. It's something that I can do. I watch many, many, many historic boxing matches with Elgin right here in the room. on my iPad and got to celebrate when somebody I'm a fan of win, with Elgin, or when just to see a good fight. I get I could share that with him, but once again, split my brain where it's not just constantly on him. And the last thing is reading. In the past 2 years, I just got hungry for knowledge. I've never been a reader. I always said if I pick up a book, I'm gonna fall asleep because I just got, I just couldn't read. I couldn't stay in it.
Mm.
But when I started reading to gain knowledge, or when I started to read and things I was truly interested in, that became something that I can do, you know, when Elgin's right here. All of these things I can still do. I don't have to separate
Yeah.
myself from Elgin. But
Yeah.
those are the things that I hold on to because that gives me, like you said, whether it's 30 seconds, 5 minutes, an hour and a half, I can do that
Mm.
and just pull away for a second. All five of those things. And those have been the
Mm.
things that have just kept me grounded, you know.
If I took away all those things from you right now,
Mhm.
and I said, "Sorry, mate, you ain't watching stand-up comedy, you ain't watching football, you ain't get
Mhm.
watching any movies, you can't watch boxing and reading, and taking all the books out of the house," what would that do to you? What would that do to you?
Think it was slowly like kill me, literally,
Mm.
literally. Like those, those are the things that literally keep any kind of balance, which is not even, I wouldn't even call it balance, but those are literally the small things that I can grasp onto. Those
That's
are
your
some things that
that
people would never do, you know?
it's like your it's like your oxygen, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's funny, isn't it? I think when if we think about it, if we took them all away, or we could probably take away one or two,
Hmm.
but if we take them all fucking away, how hard is that for us, right? Because it's never just one fucking thing. It's
Hmm.
never just one thing. It's it's always a group of things that we need that help us through the day,
Hmm.
and I think those things. So all those things there that you've listed, as you said, you can do them with Elgin. You can
Hmm.
watch movies. You can, you know, watch boxing with him. All those things you can do with him and be with him and enjoy the time with him. And you highlighted like the movies, and I was resonating with you a lot on the movies, kind of going to the cinema and watching it for an hour and a
Hmm.
half and just being immersed and being away and not thinking about anything because I that's what I used to do, and I actually haven't done for a while. Um, but I again, it's one sometimes these things that in times of our lives where we kind of do it because it's really helping, and then sometimes it just kind of you know it just drifts off, or we're not something else kind of comes in place of that.
Hmm.
It's a fluid situation. It's something that kind of allows us to be grounded, right? As a human. Um, but the movies was interesting, and because when you're fortunate enough and to have someone take care of
Hmm.
Elgin, and that you're able to get away is I I know for me personally is I've always wrestled with uh, I'm better now, but I've always wrestled with guilt of leaving, um, Jamie with for in this situation, leaving Jamie with my wife. If I was kind of going out,
Hmm.
I would like I would feel guilty, and my wife to this day still says, don't feel bad about it. Don't feel bad about going out to the gym or going to the onsen which is like a hot spa, um,
Hmm.
and do you how about you, like when you if he's looked after for a couple of hours and you're like, right, I'm gonna go to the movies. Do you have any of that? Do you feel or do you feel like, yeah, this is fucking great, I'm not gonna feel
I
guilty at
don't.
all?
Yeah, I don't think it's guilt. It's more
Mm.
fear for me
Okay.
because I understand like you can only go so long, you know what I
Mm.
mean, in this literally 24 hours.
Mm.
Like you can only do that 24-hour cycle so many times in a row before before something goes wrong, before you
Mm.
either forget something, before you either fatigue yourself. So it's like when I can do it, I don't feel guilty. I feel scared and I'm
Mm.
hesitant,
Mm.
and I do miss Elgin a lot, but I almost have to tell myself like, man, you have to take advantage of these. Like these small moments, you have to take advantage because you only got a little bit. So just how I feel when I'm with him, I have to take advantage of that time that he has here. I also know I have to take advantage of the little time that I have away because I'm
Mm.
gonna be with him way more than I'm gonna be away from him, you know.
Mm.
So I don't, yeah, no. For me, it wouldn't be guilt. It would be fear
Mm.
when I leave Elgin.
Yeah. What have you done? Have you done anything today?
For myself,
Yeah.
no, not at all. I mean, well, Elgin had that equipment dropped off, so I had to do that. I was really excited for this. I'm glad we got to do this. There is a boxing match tonight, and one that I've been
Ah.
waiting for about 3 months. I've been watching this build up.
Right.
And I'm gonna see if I can scrounge together a couple pennies, because unfortunately it's a pay-per-view thing, and
All right.
that's the one hobby that like a lot of times I have to miss out on because
Mm.
the boxing matches you do have to pay for. But I've been waiting so long to watch this whole month. They got a lot of gut fights going on, and I might. I might. I know I got a stream and I'll see if I can maybe, scrounge together something. But if I can do that tonight, it will be exciting. And even if I can't, I could watch the highlights in the post fight conference, and I know I got something to look forward to, the
Yeah.
outcome, what
Yeah.
happened, who won,
Mm.
So yeah, I'm excited for that.
You mentioned like the streaming just there,
Mhm.
of kind of getting on, and recently, in the last kind of last couple of months, you've you've kind of got into doing TikTok streaming,
Mhm.
on your channel, and what what ha- like what has that meant to you, to and why do you do that every day? What does it mean to you?
What made me start was I kind of got to the end of my rope. I got to a point where, I've been a year, like literally over a year that I've been having Elgin for literally like every day. I think in the year 2025, I might have spent less than 15 days away from him. And I just had got to the point where the loneliness, missing out on everything in the world and not feeling like, I'm in the world. I sit in this room and the light comes through the window in the morning, and then it gets dark. And then the light comes through the window and then it gets dark. And then the light comes through and I'm just here. And everybody was living, and I just felt like I felt like I was in prison. And
Mm.
every evening, well, when Elgin would get in bed, I would just get on the ground. I would cry. I would just feel just empty. I would feel trapped, like I wasn't living. And I started doing it because I just wanted somebody to talk to. And not even necessarily, a lot of people was, oh, you got my number, call me and this or that. But it's like, it wasn't like I wanted to just connect with, or just talk to somebody. I wanted to feel like I was in the world. What do you do when you go to the gas station? You talk to the person behind the counter. You don't know that person, but an interaction with somebody
Somebody else.
outside of
Those
your circle. Yeah.
micro
Yeah.
conversations. Yeah.
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 Yeah, yeah. So I just wanted that. And it's like, I don't know why I'm craving. I just want to talk to a stranger. I want to have interaction with somebody.
Mm,
And I got on there initially, and maybe my first stream, I had about 4 or 5 people, and then I made a post. I was like, hey, who would be interested if I let y'all know what time I'll be here, who would show up? And the next day I streamed, 100 people showed up. And in and out, but 100 people. And I was getting a influx of questions about Elgin, and I could talk about Elgin. So, I was just answering them. It was like, man, I was just connected with people after people would inbox me, and it's like, wow, I'm just making just random connections. I'm talking to
mm,
people, and I just continued, and every day that I did it, more and more and more. Then the next day, 400 people showed up. Then the next day, 800, and then 1,200. And I got to a point to where after about 2 weeks, it was 3,500 people in there sometimes. And for one, I was getting that fix of being able to interact with people in the world. And
mm,
for two, I started to see kind of like what it could become. I knew people made, money, or people make a living creating content and
mm,
streaming and things like that. And it's something I always wanted to do, but I never thought like, well, I'm not interested enough, or why would anybody even, you know what I mean? I don't
mm,
have anything
mm,
to center around. I never even thought of, well, I could just center it around Elgin. Even though I had
mm,
that podcast, you know, I just kind of looked at it as when I had the podcast, I had to set up. I had to set up all the lights, and get Elgin, and then film, and then edit, and then do all of this. And I just didn't have that in me. I
mm.
didn't have the energy. I didn't have the desire. But it was really easy for me to sit on the couch and just click go live, have my interactions, and when I went off, it was over. And I started to just really see what it would become. And I was doing it every day because it kind of just it gave me what I was looking for, those micro interactions. But
Mm,
I continued to do it every day because I seen that if I stay consistent with this can turn into something. And when
mm,
I was in here on the ground crying, it's because I seen what is my future. It's been a year. I've been in the same room watching the light come in, and,
mm,
the sun go up and go down, and I don't have a plan. I don't know how I'm gonna change to get out of this situation.
mm,
And when I started streaming, I saw a crack in the door open.
mm,
This could be a way out.
mm,
This could be something. And it's literally the only thing I have to hold on to now. It gave me a reason to say, okay, in the morning after I help Elgin or do what I have to do, it gave me something to look forward to, because I would dread the evenings when I was by myself. I would, when the sun went down, I'm like, the empty feeling is gonna come. I'm gonna feel empty. I'm gonna cry. The sadness is gonna come. Now, when the evening comes, people.
mm,
I have something. People want me to be. Are you going to be streaming? Nobody cared when I was down here by myself. A year passed, nobody
mm,
called to check on me. But now I
mm.
have something, and that's just why I stay as consistent as I have, because it's just like a little glimmer of hope, a little glimmer of change.
Is it being seen? You think? Is it to be seen? To be like, yeah, to be um, people
Acknowledged.
acknowledge? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That you're there. That you're because if you yeah if you you're in the room, it's just like Groundhog Day. It's just again and
Mhm.
again and again. There's no and you're not going outside. You're not you know um, and it's a cycle that you know is not it's not healthy for you. And if you have those micro conversations with people online, sometimes those will build into actual connections as well. You know,
Mhm. Yeah.
um, and what it like what would like if you talk about connections with people, like what is um I remember sharing a bit of a story. I remember for many years, I think for probably, oh, I don't know, like probably the first 10 years or so, is I really felt like I was the only foreigner in Japan, only foreigner here in Japan that had a child that was Down syndrome, and it was at that point. Although I didn't know whether Jerry was on the spectrum or not with autism, um, but I just felt really alone. Um, and what I did was and kind of without me kind of even knowing it, is I was shutting the door on, um, kind of intentionally. I don't know, it may be intentional. I'm not sure, but I was shutting the door on kind of really creating new connections with people, and I just was in this kind of I, zone of like no one fucking gets me, like, and there's no one else around that has, that's like me. Like I was
Mhm.
in that really negative spiral in a way, and then I combined that with work. Um, as I was just launching myself into work. I was lucky. You know, I was we were running. I ran a school,
Mhm.
um, and but I was just launching myself into that. I was just like, because that was where I felt my value was. My value was to teach and to work and to bring in money, and because my wife wasn't at that stage. Well, she was working, and then the school started to grow bigger, and so she pulled the plug on her job and came and started, like, basically working with the school to kind of build the school. But um, I just never, I didn't felt, I really felt like I was just this lone wolf uh, for about 10 years, and I wonder, like, you probably, in a way, do you feel like that's a bit like you? Sometimes you feel like, I'm just like, there is no one else there, like, or maybe there is, but I haven't found them yet. That it's doing it, you know. But maybe this has opened up that world for you now. That the doing
Oh
the
yeah.
streaming, like it's opened it up for you, I guess, hasn't it?
Yeah, I've never had much of a sense of community,
Mm,
just because, I mean, the online space is truly where you find that. But I've
mm,
always, crazy enough, which I guess is not so crazy, the people I resonate the most with are the special needs mothers
mm,
normally, because the
mm,
mothers traditionally, it seems, take on the role of the primary caregiver. And whether there's a father involved or not, normally the father is the secondary parent in these situations, is what I found.
yeah.
So a lot of the fathers, for one, aren't really even active in the groups on
Mm,
social media. You find a lot that the mothers are. And when I would join the special needs parents groups, um, the mothers who post the memes and things about the medical parents and medical mamas and whatever, it's like those were the things that was hilarious to me. But it's like,
mm,
well, I'm a dad, but I understand that because
mm,
I'm just in that primary caregiver
mm,
role. And with me not being so, like, I had to shut myself off from that on Facebook because unfortunately I would get on and I would see a lot of these, medical moms, these children would pass away all the time. And it seemed like every time I got online, a kid that I've been following for years passed away. And I couldn't see that every day. So in a sense, I had to shut myself off from the community because
mm.
it was like it was like a pre, like a hurt. I would hurt for them,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then it would make me dread the day. Like, oh, am I gonna have to make this post? So I had to, the community that I understood, I had to cut off
Mm,
because that was too much for me to hold. But with TikTok, especially streaming. you're just having conversations. I'm
Mm,
not on TikTok. I don't consume a lot of content, and I don't like it's just a different kind of format. So I
yeah.
found my community over there, and the thing is, they found me. I didn't have to
Mm,
seek them out. I just
yeah.
get on with Elgin, I post my stuff, and they find me. So it most definitely unlocked the whole entire world of the disability community, and it gives me access. But like I said, I can kind of center it, and these people could find me and make the connections. And I don't have to have that super close connection with them and carry you know, that uh that weight of their lives too, in a sense.
Mm,
Um, so it's a different format, but yeah, it's the only community I have.
mm,
And I haven't had one since I've been a special needs parent,
mm,
not in the degree of how I have now.
yeah. And that's, I think, again, it's that shift. It's a shift, isn't it, with how, what you can deal with, what you need, what you can um, connect with. And I think it's interesting you said how, yeah, with you were on these groups and these children were, special needs kids were, they were passing away. They were,
Mhm.
and I recently, um, uh, in my world, there's been people have moved on and have left, um, and one of them was one of the dads, his child moved on, left last year, um, and I think it's, and I remember, when when I got the message from him last year. I think I was just like, I was absolutely shocked. I was just like, it just hits you because you, like, anyone losing their child, um, is extremely hard. Um, and I think that when we're in a situation where the child is, you know, has medical complications or issues or anything like that, is that it we know that, like, it there's another layer on top of that, which is like, makes it hit differently, makes it hit really differently.
Mhm.
Um, and it is hard because you feel, you kind of, you're so compassionate as you feel the pain, right? You're like, oh, you just feel it. You can just,
Yeah.
you know, um, and that's what I felt. I just felt this, like, and I was like, man, like, and then I was like, geez, he must just be absolutely, he must feel so lost and empty, and that's exactly kind of how he was, because when I, you know messaged back, and yeah, it was a month after. He didn't tell me straight away. He told me like a month after, because I check in with the dads, um,
Hmm.
and it was a month later, because he hadn't obviously reached out and said, hey, like, this is what's going on. Like, that's,
Yeah.
it's still extremely fresh. Um, what a, like, as you get, as we get older, and again, you've had your birthday. You've just turned 33. Was it last week? I think, wasn't it? Was that right? Last
Yeah.
week,
Sunday. Yeah.
Sunday. Yeah. What worries you most? Do you worry at all? Because some people don't. That's okay. But what worries you most as you age, as Elgin's dad?
Um, I think I'm one of the rare cases who, well, I don't know how rare it is, but I don't. For me, the aging aspect only comes kind of to mind in one aspect. always said, and I know it may be morbid, and a lot of people don't like when I say this, but I always say I want to leave this earth before my son. And I've noticed with a lot of other parents that I speak with, they have the complete opposite because they feel like, well, if I leave, then who's going to take care? You know what I mean? Who's going to
Mm.
take care of my child? But for me, I've buried a child. Even though my daughter was here for a day, I anticipated having a daughter. I anticipated being a parent. I envisioned this life every day. I was so excited. And when I had to bury my daughter, it just was a pain that can't I can't even really describe. And it may sound selfish to say that I want to go before my son, but I think that it would hurt me a lot more than it would hurt him. And the world loves Elgin. The world
Mm.
doesn't know Elgin, but every single person, for the most part, who sees Elgin, whether it's online or whatever, it's something about him where I feel like the world loves Elgin. And I know if something happened to me between, my family, Elgin will be okay. He will be okay. But as severe as Elgin's condition is, I honestly believe that I need him more than he needs me. As much as he needs me, I need him more. And the aspect of aging and mortality doesn't scare me because I want to go before my son. The only way that the aging would really sting me is if, I got so far along and then Elgin left me.
Mm.
And not only did I lose my driving force, I lost my youth too. Then I would truly feel like I had nothing. And I know you're as only as young as you feel, and I know as long as you still here, you have time. But I understand that, as a man at 33, I'm aging out of my prime. In my prime years of being physical, my prime years, you know, uh, before I start to age or I'm getting beyond those years. Um, so the aging aspect to me, I understand it, I accept it, but I don't know. I just want to go before my son, even if that means I have to leave this earth way earlier than I normally would have. I do want to go before my son, and I will give anything to live a shorter life to leave here before him. So I see 33, and it's a lot of people that didn't make it to 33 that I outlived, I love and I care for, and I don't know why I made it this far. I don't know why I outlived them, but as far as age and time, I'm just as long as Elgin's here, then I accept it when it comes, and I'll continue to celebrate years and look forward to them. I'm just hoping that Elgin is long for the ride. I just hope that Elgin's here when I celebrate my last birthday.
You said something there which I jotted down, which I think is going to be it's going to sit with me. It's one of these things, as I said to you earlier on,
Mm.
that is always something that um, sits with me with podcasts when I finish, and sometimes it happens during the podcast, sometimes it's after the podcast. You said there like, I need him more than he needs me. I don't think there's a lot of dads that could say that. Um, yeah, that's definitely a line that I think will will sit with me for a long time. Um, yeah, that's when did you get to that point?
You know, I've never said that until until just now. I've never said that, and I never thought that. I literally, as I was talking, it didn't hit me until just now. You know,
But I think it's so true, though, isn't it? I think it's so true. We don't realize all that stuff until we actually sometimes say it, right?
yeah.
It sits in our head, it goes round and round and round, but we don't actually really process it. We don't actually say these things, um, like the privilege. Like if we tell ourselves it's a privilege to be um, his dad, you know, um, or it's a privilege to be his or her mum or what you like. That carries so much. It carries so much, doesn't it? And I think I I I worry a lot about the future and kind of how things are. Um I honestly feel like that's probably why I have what I do now. Um, uh, I go to the gym. I um, I stopped alcohol. Try to be healthier.
Mhm.
Um, you know, be find more joy in the little things. Be more present. Be more mindful of of myself. Because if I do that, then I can. The flow-on effect is that I'm able to be a far better parent and a husband, individual to those around me. Um, and I'm just way more honest with myself than what I was. That's for sure. Um, if what would you what would you like? Well, what's something that your kids or Elgin, what would you like them to say about you when they're older? If Elgin had the ability to communicate something back to you or to others, is there anything that you think?
I've always said this, and I don't know when the thought hit me. Maybe a couple of years ago, but I always said, I wish I could hear the story of what Elgin would tell about me if he could speak. If Elgin could talk and if he could express himself, I wish I could hear the story from his perspective of me
Mm-hmm.
because I know my perspective, but I wish I could know how Elgin felt, what Elgin thought about me. You know, I know that and I accept that that is probably something that I will never know. And I know that, and I don't like to speak, because people always say, "Well, you never know, well, you never know." But I'm also realistic, and I also know that my son has global brain damage, and every vital part of his brain is destroyed, and I know he can't even blink. So the odds of me ever hearing my son utter a word, or even seeing my son smile, is so small. I can say with certainty, I know I'll never know. I'll never know the story that my son would say about me. But in my heart, I know it will be a good one. I know it'll be a good one.
if you could go back to the day that you found out that you were going to be a dad, like right back to like day one, that very first day when you found out that you were going to be a dad. I'm going right back to your first daughter, okay, um, who passed away. What is there anything that you would say to yourself?
I would tell myself that it is gonna be all right because I remember the day I found out. I remember like it was yesterday. And I remember the exact sequence. For the first 3 days, couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. I was the most scared I had ever been in my life. Hadn't told anybody. I was in shock and there was no excitement. There was no anything. I was just the most afraid I've ever been in my life. And on the third day, I remember I called my mama and I told her, and she just was kind of excited. I just wasn't expecting that. I didn't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting that. And then I called my daddy and I told him, and I thought, you know, I thought he was gonna be upset and, but just kind of it's okay that he gave me that right there after I got that from both of them. That's when the excitement started. And that's literally the happiest I was ever in my life because I'm like, okay, it's gonna be okay. And not only is it gonna be okay, I'm gonna lean in 1,000,000% into being the dad. I didn't, it's no way in the world I would have known. I would have lost my daughter and then had a son who had a traumatic brain injury the next year. I had no idea. That was the furthest thing from the future I had in my head. But if I could tell myself anything, is that no matter what happens, it's gonna be okay. Because I was not prepared for
Mm-hmm.
everything that would transpire from that day on. But to this day, it's okay. Elgin's here. He is who he is. We're in the situation we're in, but we're okay. And if I could have told myself anything, I would have just said, no matter what happens, it's gonna be okay. Because when my daughter passed, had I known that, I would have been able, to. That's what I needed. And when my
Mm-hmm.
son had his brain injury, I needed to hear that.
When like with everything that's gone on, I think acceptance of kind of where we are in the journey of part of it, where we are in our journey anyway. Because I suppose I think that acceptance is a very fluid thing, depending on what situation we're in. And I didn't I don't think I really accepted. I didn't understand the acceptance, the world that I was living in, and really um, until I burnt myself out. I just wasn't. I just didn't accept it. So that was 2019. And that was 11 years. Basically, that was 11 years in. For you, when when do you think you kind of got to that point of okay, this is it, accepting the situation? When do you think it's a yeah ongoing thing?
When Elgin was when Elgin was born, um, it was a lot of people reaching out to me and they were talking about something called hyperbaric oxygen therapy. And the thing with hyperbaric oxygen therapy is they say that once the brain tissue is damaged, like once the brain is damaged and the neural pathways in your brain are destroyed, you can't regenerate them. And that's what they were saying happened to Elgin when he was born. And with hyperbaric oxygen therapy, there was a lot of people saying, there was children who had, it was like a famous case of a kid, a girl who had drowned and she had global brain damage and she'd done hyperbaric oxygen therapy and she was able to regenerate brain tissue and make a near full recovery. So I had in my head, if I could get Elgin out of the hospital and if I could get him to that therapy, then maybe he'll be okay. Maybe he'll be able to make a recovery and he'll be able to regenerate that brain tissue. And it was a $25,000, treatment that wasn't
Mm.
covered under insurance. But I started a GoFundMe and I started streaming to raise the money and I made, videos and I had, fundraisers at different places and within 3 or 4 months, I was able to get that $25,000 to get that treatment.
Wow.
And in my head, I'm like, all right, this is it. Not only did we make it out the hospital, we're gonna get this treatment. His brain is gonna be fine. And it was 35 dives. So it was maybe 6 to 8 weeks that we had to go to a different state, travel 14 hours away
Oh.
to a state that I was born in, so, south in North America. And, after about the 35th treatment, Elgin's body just kind of tapped out. He wasn't able to take much more. And there was very little change. And I felt, okay, well, we'll just, maybe as he grows, it's going to change. And was around Elgin's first birthday, 6 to 8 months later, where I realized, like, okay, all of that money for those treatments, and Elgin is still Elgin. Now, I did see little improvements, as far as what I control, but it dawned on me at that point, like, I think this is what we're dealing with. And
Mm.
even if he makes small strides, I don't think that full recovery is truly in the cards. I took care of him by myself for a year. I spent every single day with him. I went to all his doctor's appointments. I took him and asking questions to a specialist. Well, what are you seeing in him? Compared to other children, how is Elgin? Where does he fall? What do you think?
Mm.
And with every specialist just being just 100%, just kind of straightforward and saying, Elgin is a lot more severe than the people we deal with. Elgin has a very, 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 very significant injury. When we went down to hyperbaric oxygen therapy, the doctor said, I've been doing this for 20 years and I've seen over 2,000 patients. And your son was one of the most severely injured patients
Mm.
in 20 years and 2,000 people that I've ever seen.
Wow.
And that right there said enough for me to know we're dealing with something, extreme. This is a severe case. And like I said, about a year in after all of the doctor's appointments and everything and me being hands-on, that's when it hit me. Okay, this is just life. I'm going to anticipate that this is what life is going to look like.
Mm.
And as long as we don't go backwards from here, then we're in a good direction. And he'll be 8 this year. He stayed Elgin.
Wow, what is that? That is a story and a half, man. That is that is a lot. I'm always I'm really interested to like for dads to come on and talk about their journey as dad. Um, some I would say probably a, a good portion of dads don't want to, um, for various reasons. They don't want to. They don't want to. Um, that's okay. What? Why did you? Why did you want? Why did you agree and think? Yeah, I want to come on and I want to share my dad journey on the podcast. What was? Mm, What was the reason you were like, yeah, I want to do this?
Well, I had before I started the podcast or anything, I hadn't seen anybody, I hadn't seen any other dads, just being authentic in speaking. And you, along with, I think it was a dad life, or it was
Yeah.
very few people. Just went out to see, okay, well, what's out here?
Mm.
Because I came across y'all at the same time. And when I watched your content and when I watched his content and even some of the other mothers' content too, and just seeing people being authentic, people
Mm.
saying the things that are real and true, didn't have any fear of speaking,
Mm.
and sharing my journey. I just didn't know that was okay. And it wasn't until, you know, I would see you post on your social media and just speak and just air out. Jamie did this and this is how I feel. And it kind of hit me. Wait, you can do that? You can just be honest and you can just say you can say these things. And it was inspiring for me because I wanted to talk. I just didn't know I could. I wanted to speak and I wanted to be transparent with the world, but I didn't know I could.
Mm.
And what a better platform, than the person who kind of opened up and showed me you you can do this too.
Mm.
I mean, it's really an honor. Like I said, I've never been a part of another podcast. I never was a guest on another podcast, anything, dealing with Elgin like that. I don't think I've ever been a guest on any podcast, really. But what a full circle
Mm.
that I can, that I can go to yours. Literally one of the first people that I ever even seen, have this format, have this kind of platform. And who knows, maybe if I wouldn't have looked out and seen who was out there and seen what you was doing, and
Mm.
maybe I never would have started mine. So yeah.
The universe is an interesting place, isn't it? Like
Oh my
how
goodness.
how how
Yes.
how it plays out and how life works and how you know how things. Yeah, it's really interesting. Um, I think one thing that's I was just thinking this like I realized that for the whole time we've been sitting here, the whole time you've had your hand, your right arm, like holding Elgin's hand or him holding your hand, some form of that. The whole time this has been going on here, and I think that it it's like the just the immense um, love that you have for him and the compassion that you've got for him and the I think like the global awareness of kind of where you are in your in your world in your position now is incredible. I know you think it's you're just you're doing what we're doing. You're just in the ring. As we go back to that analogy of just in the ring, just doing it, um, and you are doing it. Um, you you know you're doing it amazingly well, and I think I know. I feel sometimes when people tell me what I'm doing, being a dad with my kids, um, they say, "Oh, you're doing amazingly well. Oh, you're such a great dad." I I just probably feel a bit like you. I just feel like I'm just doing what I'm doing. I just do what I do. Um, but there is a part of me that also thinks that I need to receive that and kind of take it in a bit more than probably what I do, because I think that um, what dads do and what we do and the value that we bring um, to the table as a dad. Sometimes we kind of don't. We may not value that as much as what we should, in a way, um, because we just again we just do it. We just do the dad thing. Um, it has been a real honor. It's been a pleasure to sit here, and I've listened to you talk about your your journey, your your story, and I guarantee there's so many more things there that we haven't had time to go into.
Mhm.
Um, but if what would be if you could if you could tell other dads out there who any dad, because I talk to all dads. I want to talk to all dads who, whether they have children with special needs, disabilities, or you know, dads who are just doing dad life. I think that it is it is interesting and fascinating to hear how they do it, how we make it through the day. Sometimes we feel like we may not make it through the day for various reasons, but we do, and we do it all again the next day, just like mums do. Is there what advice would you what kind of advice would you pass on to them, dads in particular, I think, or to mums of to mums to kind of think about the dads, because the dads don't tend to kind of talk about stuff. So
Yes. You know, it kind of touches on what we spoke about earlier. It's a privilege to be a parent in general. You know, I came up with the name the Imaginary Dad Project because, or the Imaginary Dad Podcast because, you know, technically I am a father. You know, in my situation, this is my son. I am his father, but I think a lot of parents take, just being a parent for granted. My daughter passed away. My son has a traumatic brain injury. I've been a parent technically for a total of 8 years, and I've never been called dad once. I've never seen any of my children smile, never received a hug. I never even received like meaningful eye contact with my children. And I think, a lot of parents, as much as they love their kids and the links that they would go through, I think sometimes we just take it for granted. All of us, even me, even me. And if I would give any parent, dad, mom advice, is just, never take your position as a parent for granted because the smallest things, you know, that you can receive as a parent, a hug, I love you, a smile. Some parents don't even get that. And it's just it's a privilege to be a parent and be proud of that title. Mom, dad, even if it's imaginary, be proud of having that title as a parent.
yeah, yeah, 100%, absolutely 100%. Bo, it has been um, amazing listening to you. And as you saw, if you're seen through this talk, like I've got, been emotional through it because it's
Yeah,
just,
me too.
um, it's been a ride. And I think that,
Yeah,
um, again, as I said before, like I don't know if I did it on here, but um, I didn't know how to. I never was. Uh, I never felt I could cry, share emotional stories, and be emotional about stories, whether I was telling it or hearing it. Um, and and now I'm at a point in my life where I am like that. Um, and I'm so grateful that I can do that because I it's a uh, it's an I come back to this. It's a very healthy thing to
yeah,
for
it's
men to.
freeing.
It's incredibly
Yeah,
freeing.
literally frees you.
Yeah, because I think women women are typically they they some women can uh, cry a bit more often, as we know. Like women will
Mhm.
uh, have that same ability to release it much faster and easier than men will. Um, and that I feel like it's a valve for all humans. Like it's like or taking the air out of the balloon a little bit. You know,
Mhm.
the pressure in the balloon, um, and you've released a bit of the pressure out of my balloon today. And listening to your story, your words, I need him more than he needs me. Um, I think like the I love your honesty. It was you saying like I've never said it before. You know, um, hearing it. I just want to maybe finish on this. Like hearing that back again. And I apologize if you can hear the dog snoring behind me here. I don't know if you can hear that or
No,
not.
I
Okay,
can't. I
all
know
right,
you
but
probably heard my dog
uh,
barking. I
no, I
apologize.
couldn't hear it. Like my dog's Abby's just snoring away behind me here. Hearing that back, like, what is there anything that kind of you think like, how does it feel when you think, oh, I've said that, and what that I need him more than he needs me.
It most definitely is something that I might have been afraid to say because
Mm,
it's something that I knew since he's been born. But I think I've just been afraid to say it out loud because, you have a lot of people who, you know, they'll come in the chat or, they'll comment on the video or you'll just hear people say, oh, he's selfish. He's keeping his son here and his son doesn't deserve to live like that. And as much as I know that's not true,
yeah.
because I'm not beating his heart for him. His heart is beating to his
Mm,
chest.
mm,
And I'm not breathing for him. He's breathing on his own. He may need a little oxygen, which is a very little oxygen, but my son is living on his own. I'm not keeping him here. I'm just helping him. But my son is living. He's a living person. He's not on life support. He's here. But, when I say that, it brings a little bit of fear because as honest as it is, I feel like it can be weaponized. I feel like somebody can say, "Oh, well, you're just truly being selfish because you just keeping him here because you need him here." I'm not keeping him here. He's just here. But
mm,
although he is
yeah.
still here on his own, I still need him. That doesn't take that away. But I just believe I've never said it. I've known it, but I've never said it because of the fear of will somebody try to use that against me?
Yeah. Well, I think that the only people that will use that against you are the people who just, or think their own perspectives on it. Everyone's
Yeah.
got their own views on different things. Is that those people have got their own problems in their lives,
Mhm.
and that's okay. Um, they haven't got to a point where they can see the real meaning of it,
Yeah.
um, and that's okay. That's okay. Those people, they're they're out there. That's okay. But there's a whole lot of other people that um,
Yeah.
get get the actual the true and
Where it
genuine meaning
came
of
from.
where it came from. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bo, thank you very much for this, and um, it's yeah, I really appreciate you coming on, and we you are one of the most genuine and open dads that I've had on the show, and I do really feel that what you say here and on your TikToks is such a like a genuine thing as well. Like there are times when you're on your TikTok, and I'll put the links and YouTube links for that and your all those things into the
Mhm.
bio as well. Is I do feel that there's times when you're talking about your journey and your experiences and how you feel, and there's a real um, I feel like there's a lot of genuineness in there, and I think that's why people have come to you. There's the connected because
Mhm.
people love the authentic you. They love it, um,
Yeah, I appreciate it.
and that's why you've got 25,000 TikTok followers. Um,
Mhm.
and you get hundreds of people kind of joining in, um, and you're doing it daily, and then you're making a part of your adding on to the things that you do, your 5 things that you do every day. This now becomes the 6th thing that you
Mhm.
do every day, or most days, or something like that. Or obviously you can't watch movies every day, but like these things that you
Mhm.
plug in. But this is a daily thing for you, and yeah, it's great to see. And I jump in, and I
Yeah,
you know
I love
and
it.
I'm not. Sometimes I'm just like I have my earphone in, and I'm kind of just walking around the house, and I'm listening.
Mhm.
You actually always have inspired me to do lives with Jamie as well.
Yes. Yes.
So you and I, my wife, she's not into TikTok at all, despite
Mhm.
having it on her phone. But what one thing that I will say that I've been doing it with Jamie, when I do it with Jamie, is that I often put it up onto my TV. I kind of airplay it up onto the TV, so he sees it on the TV. I have the phone or the iPad down here, and then the TV's
Mhm.
up there. And uh, he really he loves seeing himself on the monitor. And what he does with that is that I found that he wants to communicate more. He wants to talk more because of that situation.
Mhm.
Um, and also I'm talking more to him, because sometimes I don't talk enough to him.
Mhm.
Um, I don't. There's conversations, a conversation between me and Jamie, uh, interesting, and often, you know, I'll ask a question and he'll kind of, I may not get any response, or I might get like a physical response, or like one word kind of response. There's not a, a dialogue that goes on. So
Mhm.
but that's okay. It, I've got, I've got. This is it. This is what we've got.
Hmm.
Um, but the coming back to that TikTok, if you know, if you hadn't gone, if you hadn't done your lives, I wouldn't be doing my lives, and he wouldn't be talking more and kind of acting up more,
Hmm.
acting up. So thank you, because I think that again, the universe is the universe, and
Yeah.
um, and we'll be today. I hope that we'll be doing a live with him sitting there playing his doing with his cards, his which he does. I hand him the cards, he puts them in the box, and then or he hands them to me, and it's very repetitious, which he likes.
Hmm.
And they've got these vocabulary, like these pictures on the cards, and sometimes I can be like, "What's this?" and he tells me in English what it is, or he tells me in sometimes Japanese what it is. Um, so that's what we'll hopefully be doing that later on once he wakes up. He may be up now actually. Um,
What time do you normally go live?
I don't have a set time, um, so it might be. I don't know. It could be any time around, in about maybe an hour and a half's time. Um, we might. He'll probably be, he might be up now. But yeah. But I think one thing that I know when I get home, and is that when I get home is I'll be in um, a good headspace, and I think the headspace of we go back to that privilege, you know, it's a
Hmm.
privilege to be a parent, privilege to be his dad,
Hmm.
you know, um, and I think every time um, I I remember that it becomes more of a natural uh, thing to be thinking. I know that, yeah, but
Hmm.
that's me babbling.
I appreciate you, Steve, man. I appreciate you, man. I love you. I like you said, man, the universe is truly something, man. It's chaos, but sometimes it's just poetic how everything
Yeah,
works out, And
it is. It is.
I'm excited. I'm excited for, you to start streaming with Jamie, man. I truly, 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 truly believe that, you know. You could surpass far beyond, because although we have different, I guess, forms of the special needs community, it's all still the same community, and it's
Mm,
all, people out there who want that real life, who wants to see real life,
mm,
how people just like hell, he just sits there and sleep in my arms, and people are curious. So
yeah,
I know what Jamie and you, uh, hope that this is something y'all both can enjoy, and I hope that it grows just as fast or even not faster than what we've been able to do. And I want to promote you as much as possible, man. Even, do a joint stream, whatever, once you get your schedule together and everything, man. I would
yeah, man.
love to do more. I would love to do another podcast with you.
Mate,
I appreciate you, Steve, man.
oh,
More
man,
than you know, I do.
no, it's great. Thank you, man. I appreciate you as well. It's
Yeah.
like it's it's been fantastic, and you know, um, yeah, sometimes I get lost for words in these situations, and because words I don't
Yeah.
think sometimes actually, um, for me anyway, don't seem to summarize or
Yeah.
encapsulate what how I'm feeling or what I'm trying to say, um, and sometimes the silence does that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we can all imagine kind of in our own little heads when we hear silence, like what like words or things, or and maybe that's kind of what we need to do more often is just
Yeah.
have that in our lives, a bit more silence where we're just thinking about it, just imagining what one is thinking or feeling.
Hmm.
All right, my man. I'm gonna see.
Appreciate you, Steve.
I'm gonna see you on uh, on your TikTok later on today, uh,
Yeah, yeah. Well, let me
with
know when
Elgin.
this is coming out.
Yeah,
We gonna
yeah,
promote it. We gonna pump it up. We gonna get a bunch of people to be able to experience what we got
yeah,
to put
man.
together. So I appreciate you, man.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Gonna There we go. Remove that from there. There we go. All right, man. Well, have a good one, man. Thanks
All right,
again.
you too. I'll
It's been great.
see you later, man.
All
All
right.
right, Steve.
Thanks,
Love you,
mate.
man.
See you, mate. Thanks, mate.
Later.